too. Great, thank you so much. Welcome this evening to the last SCREE meeting of this year, so June 2022. Welcome everyone. I hope you're having a dry afternoon after this rainstorm. I wanted to get us started. We do have an agenda with several items, and just to remind folks sort of the process, how we do things for those who are guests and haven't been here before. We have a discussion on our agenda. We go back and forth with committee members. Then we open it up to other community board members for additional questions or comments. And then ultimately we open it up to the public for questions, comments, feedback, and other items to discuss. So that's typically how things go. Just because we are a smaller committee, we do not have strict time restrictions on who speaks, the frequency of speaking, etc. But certainly you might see that in other committees. So we have the benefit of being a bit more casual just because there's a small number of us. But anyway, good Thursday evening to you. I wanted to check in on a couple of things. So our agenda is that we're talking about the pilot. This was the context of comparing, this is sort of like a graduate level thesis on comparing agencies and how our district receives resources, how we can compare our district to other districts, how we can compare the Bronx to the Bronx overall, and then how we can compare the Bronx to other more well-resourced boroughs. So since I don't see Bob Fanuzzi here, Camelia, I'm just going to put you in the hot seat and see if you and Bob Fanuzzi had a chance to talk about this. I know it's sort of like a massive effort, and just to see where things stand on that front.
Yeah, we did have the chance to speak about it, but since we spoke about it, the kind of the line of thinking that we were thinking of approaching, which was strictly sanitation, evolved. And given that at the last meeting, and also we skipped with Julie, we didn't manage to meet. With Julie, we also had an initial call, but we didn't manage to have enough time to follow up. So what ended up happening was that I pursued a line of work which I will show all of you tonight, because I do believe it is relevant, and it's also more in tune and more comprehensive actually than our original line of thinking, what was strictly along sanitation lines. But it is this thing with exploring the issue of environmental justice is much more in line with what is happening now in City Hall, because there was a local law passed and an advisory committee on environmental justice put together in December of last year. So this is sort of fresh work, and it's also work that the city put out there, and it has extremely relevant information to not only to our district, but also in relation to the census. And actually the work that you presented to us, Margaret, was it already two meetings ago or last meeting? So when I came across it and I saw how beautifully they fit, I actually went ahead and put together a little bit of work. So I will present that to you tonight, not very long because it's fairly simple. And then I'm just kind of explaining now methodology, Margaret, to everyone. And then I reached out to Margaret asking her to send me the draft of the report in an editable format. And I inserted there both two major things we discussed over the past couple of months, which were that proposed resolution and the attached table, as well as the table that Margaret compiled with the capital requests of CB8 or since 2016, along with the piece of work that I did, and they are very clearly highlighted in the draft. So if this sounds okay with you, it's not long and it's very easy to understand and it's very easy to remove the pieces, but I just kind of wanted to put it together for all of us to have like a comprehensive view of of where it may be right now. Again, everything can be removable. It's removable. I didn't touch any like words, any wording of any sort other than these basically additions. I put a couple of flags. So if it's okay with you, either anybody has any questions for right now? Because if not, and if I may proceed just going through the report and explaining, then I will do that, and we have all the questions at the end and feedback and conversation. Whatever you think, Margaret. You can either pass me the thing to share, or if you would share on your end, however works. I have a PDF of the piece in front of me.
I can,
yeah,
I
what?
think I can make you host if you just
All
give me
right.
1 second, or
Oh,
co-host.
Is this process okay
you
with
know-
everyone if I just go through the whole thing to sort of show you the pieces?
So I was just gonna say, maybe this is just to catch everyone up, I think, including committee members, this is, while we, I think we're just gonna put a pin in the conversation on the pilot, or maybe that's sort of something you're gonna get to. And as we've talked about for the last couple of meetings, that we wanted to make some revisions to the SPRE report, sort of as like an interim version, just to reflect on what we've done over the course of the last year, what changes we might want to reflect in that report based on new information we get, or new things that the community board has done in relation to racial equity. So
Margaret, hi.
yeah, hi.
So, hi. So I just gave, I just chose access so that multiple participants can share simultaneously.
Oh, cool.
That makes it easy for that way. If anybody wants to share
Thanks.
screen, you can go ahead.
Is
So
that
Tanya, I
struggle?
see I can already
Mm.
basically push the button share screen. So
Can you
I
do it?
can go there. I mean,
Can
I
you
will
try it,
try.
Amelia?
So okay, yes.
If that's okay, Margaret.
Yep, definitely.
Thank you.
Okay, there we are.
Okay, I'm gonna say good evening. Have a great meeting. I'm gonna exit
Thanks,
now.
Tanya. Okay.
You're welcome.
Okay,
Good night,
that's
everybody.
thank you so much, Tanya.
Sure.
Do you see something looking like two pictures?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So this is the cover of the report. I just played with Margaret's size of picture just to make it a little bit symmetric, but it's a detail. The first section is an introduction that, and I only flagged with yellow the sort of the parts that show that it's corresponding to that time period and those members of the SCRE committee. I do believe when Margaret has time, maybe over the summer or depending how we want to proceed, this introduction should be reworded. Of course, we could decide to maintain as much text as possible from kind of the original thinking, but it does feel a little bit sort of out of tune simply because the feeling and the energy at that moment was different than kind of what it is now right now since the conversation sort of evolved. So I will just scroll all the way up until where I made my sort of my first contribution. So this is kind of the body of the report. It's fairly dry in my view, but I don't want to make any other observations on this. But here is the appendices section. And oh, sorry, I forgot, but I just wanted to show you first in the table of contents so it's super clear what I'm talking about. Table of contents is right here. You see those three sections highlighted in blue. So it's in, I'm only made contribution in appendix B data on three items. CB8 SCRE mapping of capital requests is a piece that Margaret presented. Second one, CB8 environmental justice areas is the piece that I worked on now. And CB8 membership and CB8 demographics comparison is the resolution that we discussed that we decided to hold on and further analyze for the future. But this is the only pieces where I made the modifications, including text in pictures. And now I will go back to exactly that section to show you. Okay, there. So yeah, so we are here in Appendix B data. The first part of the appendix, of course, is the most relevant one, which includes the racial composition by percentages. And the only thing I did was add a visual, because I do believe we also have data there from different census, from different sources. But at the end of the day, a picture is telling very much the story of our community board. And I do believe that's relevant. Also, I do believe we could simplify a little bit, but this section, this is just my thought, because we have a bit like too much, right? But then I'm going straight, I highlighted with blue again the pieces that I physically basically added. You see here the beautiful map that Margaret did, that we discussed extensively, including the legend. I think this makes it very obvious how how consistent the community board was over the years in addressing these areas. And to my own surprise and gigantic satisfaction, when I went in the subsequent section looking independently of Margaret and separately from her work at the environmental justice areas in the community board, so this is just what she put right there, and her observations that she circulated to all of us, so they are right there. So this is the section that I added, community board 8 environmental justice areas. I will give you a little bit of background, but just to show you. So this is the map, the official New York City map of environmental justice areas for our Northwest Bronx area. The black line delineates community board 8, and the dark blue is environmental justice areas. Basically everything east of us is environmental justice area, but look at that little section southeast. That's exactly the area where the concentration of our capital requests appropriately was. The light blue areas are potential areas of environmental justice, and the white has nothing to do with environmental justice. So what I did was going to the city map and then zooming through, finding, because they do have further down, and just to give you a quick look at what's coming, area by area, data about why that particular sub area is an environmental justice, has an environmental justice designation. So I tried my best to kind of split it here. I don't know if you see enough. You see this better? Is this better? Yes. Okay. So basically I numbered. Yeah. So I did my best literally with pieces of paper that I cut to fit the puzzle, because, you know, it's a little bit tricky to zoom in and out and then see what are the borders and how they match. But essentially, to put it very simply to you guys, so we have 13 areas within CB8. You see, I numbered them with like Latin or Roman numerals, however you want to call it. 2 pieces there north at the border with Westchester County, and the rest of them here in the south section. And then I went into each and every one of them and selected that particular map and added information. But let me just go. So I think this map in itself is something that should be honestly sort of required reading material for any board member, just as a matter of general knowledge. But let me go back to the actual text. And again, this is not stuff that like I wrote from my brain, is literally things that I picked from the official city work and publication. So to recap, an environmental justice area is an area where the population below poverty is equal to or greater than 23.59%. Let's say a quarter, right? So a quarter is below, equal or greater than this percentage, than a quarter of the population. And while minority communities, so both conditions are fulfilled in the same time, minority population is equal or greater than 51.1%, so more than majority, in fact, than the total population. What I was mentioning to you was that in December, this work lays within the Mayor's Office of Climate and Sustainability. They started a process of creating an environmental justice for all report. This is a piece of research mandated by the new laws that were passed 60 and 64, and they put together an advisory board back in December that now is supposedly over the course of this year, probably next year too, they don't say any time frame, is working to issue this formal environmental justice for all report, but they already have the information, and the maps are absolutely outstandingly working. I put there all the sources of information, but just to very quickly review. So again, just to make it very simple, because I struggle with this, so then I simplified it in my head. So I just want to tell you kind of, if Broadway is that like tail, sort of say, I thought about it west of Broadway. So I started down in Marble Hill, 1, 2, 3, 3 zones going up, 4, 5, all the way north to the border with Westchester. And then moving on the east side of Broadway are all those sections, basically 6 all the way to 13. Mind you, with the observation that zone 12, which is the one comprising the reservoir actually spills over the border of Community Board 8. So what I did, because I thought it would be very useful for members, is actually give them the information on each and every single zone. And you can see, so that's what I did in the subsequent table. It's only like 3 pages, but it's like two maps per page. I mean, you see like Marble Hill, minority 93%, poverty 28. This is kind of south to north. This is 1, this is 2, right above Marble Hill. Minority 83%, poverty 17. This is the 3rd zone above north, so kind of Kingsbridge. Again, 71% and poverty 9. Very interesting. Then there are the 2 North Riverdale areas. Minority much lower, but still 64% in one, and the other one 47%. And then we go east of Broadway. It's a long stretch, this stretch. All of a sudden, again, minority percentages increase, 89%, poverty 45%. So half of the population is below poverty line. I think this is, it's so to me, it's very sort of illuminating, right? Like the moment you cross Broadway towards east. And then we have 3 areas that I call them the birds, because it was so hard to track them, and it's like 3 birds feeding like this. But again, you see, basically it's west of Reservoir. It's an area, 97% minority, poverty 28%. That's interesting because there are private homes there. So poverty is actually not like that high. Another sort of bird that feeds like this, minority 90%, poverty 32%. And for each of these, you also have the actual population numbers. And the 3rd, what I call the bird, same story, more or less, 82%, poverty 12. Again, poverty is low because there are many, while there are high buildings, there are also private homes. And then this is the absolute lower piece, our southern border with on West Kingsbridge Road, and I think it's Golden to the right. 98% minority, poverty 22%. And this is, yeah, 2 other pieces, same story, like 90% a minority in the 90s. And this is the reservoir area where I was telling you that actually Community Board 8 is the line going like this on the east side of the reservoir. So the rest is another community board, but again, same story. And this is the uppermost north side. So I added basically this information. I think the critical sort of piece to know and always remember, and for me it will be very relevant from now on when I assist in all conversations, right, is this at the end of the day. And again, I just want to share how absolutely satisfied I was how this fits with Margaret's work. And we had 0 coordinates, but you see what I'm saying? It's like make a case, and it's something for all community board members to know and keep in mind in the future. Not that we wouldn't need to address any issue, of course, that comes in the white zone, right? But just this tells you where our city estimates that the community is not sufficiently served by city services. So this was the environmental justice piece that I added. And then the last thing I added, my 3rd piece. Hold on, let me scroll here better. Okay, yeah. So just the issue of the demographics, what Margaret presented. It is at the status that was then, right? I mean, then it's now also, but I reached out to the borough president's office, and Tom told me that they will have a report, the updated numbers in July. And this is the perfect example of how to say, as we keep these pieces in, we are able to update and see trends or evolutions like year after year after year. But this shows that we as community board 8 members are concerned and are following and are monitoring how, you know, from year to year, our board sort of adjusts to the realities of our demographics. Of course, there are things here we kind of discuss in terms of how certain demographics maybe are not sufficiently represented, or it appears that you know, private housing people, I mean, members living in private housing are significantly more represented than people living in, I don't know, apartment building, etc., etc. But this is it. So, and then it's the report as it was. So it's these 3 pieces. I hope I explained sufficiently clear sort of what I did. And again, I think, how to say, I just gave this to Margaret in an editable format. It's absolutely to her and the committee's discretions how to, you know, use it or remove it or anything you find like appropriate. But for me, it was a very revealing sort of exercise, and I feel definitely much better informed as a community board member, knowing these numbers now. So that's it, and thank you, and I will stop sharing my screen.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Very helpful. Ramdat?
Hey, Camelia, this is amazing. There were a few things can you reshare? Sorry, I just want to
Oh, can I reshare? Okay, I will reshare.
I just want to point out a few things.
Sure. Also, mind you, just I should have given, oh no, hold on 1 second. The full disclaimer, like I didn't want to over edit or under edit. I just threw the pieces kind of in block because this is the first time we even have this conversation on the actual text. So I didn't, you know, but just on the other parts of the report, I just gotta say there's just so much editing, but it's like finessing, you know? So I don't know, but I'm putting it out there. Sorry, go. Ramdat, where do you want me to go?
Can you go back up to the North Bronx EJ
Yes.
area?
Yes.
I was
This
wondering
one?
if that's the typo. It says poverty 71.4%.
That's an excellent. I will check, but I doubt because frankly, I did copy paste. No, but also look at it. The population is very small, so probably it's like a couple of buildings, 636 people. So it's probably 2 buildings. I don't know. I'm curious myself actually because I think it's probably on the what we in our heads think the Yonkers side, but in reality it's south of the actual administrative border. So I will look into it myself, but yeah, so if it's like 2 nursing homes or whatever, I mean, it's likely, right? You know?
Oh yeah. And
so it's not like population is not in the thousands like it's in the other areas. It's probably strictly like, you know, 2 complexes. I don't know. Maybe it's like supportive housing, or I just don't know. Yeah.
And there was one more thing I think I would edit is the part that had the map that had University Avenue. I think that one's labeled Van Cortlandt Village, but that would be Kingsbridge Heights.
Use there, yeah, I know. I use there because it's very. They have like couple. I use there the way they label the area. I didn't make this up. I copy paste. That's how they labeled it administratively in their map. So
interesting. Because when I think of Van Cortlandt Village, I think of
I know.
higher income, not necessarily like, you know, people that actually live in Kingsbridge. So I thought that was just really interesting.
Yeah. No, me too. Believe me, it's
okay. No worries. Sorry about that. Thanks. But this is amazing. I like this.
But I wanted to make it like super simple, you know, like super simple, spreading a piece in smaller pieces so that we know where we are easily.
Bob?
Yeah, I actually, Ramdat asked one of the questions I was going to ask. That North Riverdale segment does not look right. I think something's wrong there with the numbers.
I gotta tell you, Bob, yeah, I also checked in the state one, and that segment is also highlighted. So even though there are, this is another point, I'm sorry, just before I forget, there are some small discrepancies in the city versus state map, but like I would say 90% is fairly accurate. But since we're a city agency, I just refer to the city data. I will double check it and confirm to you. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. But that was the lesser part of my question or my comment. The bigger part is this is really phenomenal. Putting together what you've done, Camelia, with what Margaret did and showed us last month, where she took all the capital projects over the last, what was it, 5 years, Margaret, and showed how consistently they cluster in exactly the areas where the greatest need is. So, I mean, I think it's really a testament to how hard the board has worked to make sure that the areas of greatest need are the areas that we tend to focus on for our capital projects. But this sort of information is exactly what the community board needs, because we represent a large area, we represent a lot of people, and it's invaluable for us to know where the greatest need is, and to be able to break it down into as specific a geographic area as this information breaks it down into, and then to map that onto our capital projects. So if this committee did nothing else this past year, but what you, Camelia, and you, Margaret, have done, we would have justified our existence many times over. So thank you very much for all of this research. It's incredibly invaluable.
Thank you so much for the kind words, Bob.
Yeah, thank you, Camelia. This is awesome. And certainly Ramdad and Bob were much more eloquent than I am, but I'm really just impressed. And today I had the opportunity to look at the daylighting proposal and how that is going to look, the pros and the cons, how it's going to impact, buildings and, safety issues and all those sorts of things. And it's just I got notify NYC that the Deegan is flooded again. So, like directly impacting that entire corridor from the south of the park, all the environmental justice areas noted here. So I think, this is just so helpful. And it is good timing. It was great last night to have the opportunity to talk about capital asks. And, I think this is useful information in terms of one, since we know from the mapping work that I did that, parks is one of the top requests that we have. And in terms of capital projects, what this means for, how do we prioritize our asks? Some things here that do stand out is that we frequently had asks about capital projects in Spite and Dival for, the waterfront area, and Ewan Park for flooding, work to be done in the park to reduce sort of runoff and all those sorts of things. So those are nonetheless important projects, and it does help us sort of refocus our priorities on some of the most urgent matters that we have. So this is super helpful. It is great to see that the community board has done such a great job in concentrating asks around these areas. And I think, it does speak to some of our questions of how could we be working to, identify ways, different stakeholders, different decision makers in the community who could help us better complete these projects, or how we could lend our effort towards the community work to be sure that all of these areas are getting the proper attention from elected officials, or getting the proper discretionary dollars, or however we could lend our support, because the community board can't do it all. But this is very helpful. Wonderful.
Okay, so thank you. I will stop sharing my screen again. I think just I will double check one more time the numbers on those zones that I flagged, and I will confirm to you, Margaret. But overall, if you wouldn't, let me just scroll one more time just to show you at the very beginning, this does, if our plan is to maintain this SCRE committee, which I think Laura asked us if we want to, and I think we want to. How to say, every year we should like add components, right? And the text, the block text could remain the same, right? Because those are sort of general considerations. But I would encourage you, Margaret, when you have a moment, maybe over the summer, because it's nothing like urgent or right now, to do read, if you wouldn't mind, those like initial, I think it's 2 pages, hold on, that the previous chairs wrote. And because we did do work this year, right? And kind of have your own, I don't know, like introduction and preface and just statement of values or that sort of thing. And we would simply, you see, like rewrite it or rewrite or add or however you consider appropriate. But then every year we would just call it, version June 2022, version June 2023, whatever it is. At the end of the year, we will have a piece of work, and it's just building blocks, right? So all this data will still be relevant. We will double check, we will update your map, we will update the EJ map if that changes. Maybe people bring throughout the year other elements that we consider to pick and insert in the report, like all these things. But this is like a live process, right? So I think the only piece that's missing is somewhere here in the intro to say something about Margaret Della and the committee, the chair of the SCRE committee. And yeah, for you to write like a little intro and maybe review if you want what Jill wrote. But that's, all. So then it will become a piece. I don't think it will take you more than like a half day of like read through everything. And if you want to, yeah, so I don't know, but I think it will be valuable essentially to instead of the version we have online, to put this being the still work in progress, but version June 2022. Now I will shut up.
Thank you. Yes, I can do that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the previous meeting, I thought we decided that we wanted a final version by the end of this month so that we could submit it to the board for review. So I'm happy to draft just an updated introduction. If you're able to just double check some of the questions that Bob and Ramdat had, I can certainly do that. It will not be as eloquent as Jill and our collective eloquence under Roz's leadership. So I'm just bracing everyone. I'm short and sweet and to the point most of the time. So if you all are fine with that, I know that we've all reviewed this document in the last quarter, and I don't believe we want to review it anymore. We wanted to stay away from immaterial edits and all those sorts of things. Now, if someone feels as though they want to do that, Julie is really the expert editor, in my opinion, from my experience in working with her. I don't know that that's anything we want to do, but I just wanted to open up that question one more time. Are we comfortable with it the way that it is? Camelia, I know you want to finesse it.
Look, I think, Margaret, first of all, I think, because I just sent this to you, right? Because frankly, I finished it at 11:45 in this morning. But I think as a first step, you will need to maybe circulate it to all members, right? For everybody to kind of have it as a piece in front of them in their inboxes. And then my personal, I'm super okay with the plan you suggest. I wouldn't put it in terms of have the board sort of approve it or whatever. We simply inform them this is the work of the SCRE committee.
Yeah.
You're welcome to give us comments, whatever, but this is where we are in June 2022, sort of. I mean, Laura, I'm sure she will advise us because I saw her with a hand up. So that's what I wanted to say. I will, yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see your hand. Sorry, go ahead, Laura.
I just want to say I'm blown away by Camelia's work and Margaret Della's map, which I printed out in colors. And I think, Margaret, we should show it at an exec committee meeting where we have all the, the committee chairs there, and they can, can just be blown away as well. I think it's fantastic. I really do. It's very useful research. It will absolutely help us gain allies and advocacy. So I'm blown away. I'm really, really, and I disagree with Margaret. I think that she is a very eloquent writer. And I I look forward to the updates, to the updated version, June 2022. I do have a quick question. Did I hear that in it is the resolution that was discussed 2 meetings ago?
It's just the data. It's not the text of the resolution. It's
Not
just
that, okay, no,
yeah.
no, I'm glad because
Yeah.
it was not voted on, is it, yeah.
No. It's just the data. No, I know
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
no
no.
whereas, no nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, okay, very good. I just wrote that down as a question to check on. Anything I could do to be helpful, anything we could do to be helpful, you just let us know, because I think that this is a very substantial body of work. And I look forward to using the data in our reports, in our statement of needs, in our, using it. And so I thank you.
Okay, any other comments? I did just want to take this opportunity since, oh, Bob, go ahead, please.
Yeah, all I wanted to say was, Laura's suggestion about sharing this information at the next executive committee meeting at the beginning of June, I think is an excellent one. The other thing I was going to say is that after we do that, I think we ought to share this information with our 3 city council representatives and make them aware of this information, because frankly, I don't think they have information as granular as the information that we now have, thanks to you, Margaret, and you, Camelia. So, we should really make sure that this information gets disseminated to exactly where it can be most useful. And, and that's the only thing I wanted to add.
Yeah, I think that's a great addition. And, one of the things that I wanted to come back to Bob's point, and to the conversation that we had last night. So, I mean, I can, I think these are fiscal year 24. These are not in the mapping that I did, but I can certainly add it. Once we get a little bit further down the road in vetting or prioritizing, I know we have some time. But I do think this is useful for us, not only in terms of how we prioritize these asks, but also how we are taking this information and providing it to elected officials. I mean, certainly they have much more ability to influence and sometimes fund some of these efforts, thinking of the Bailey Playground, which I know everyone, it's number 2 here. It's very important to us across the community board, across the community. But looking at this, it's what, millions of dollars. The Tibbetts daylighting, I mean, that's just a massive effort. Looking at some of these bathroom renovations, from my work, I know that the Parks Department, it's millions of dollars to renovate some of the bathrooms and things like that. And so maybe this is, I'm sure, Laura, you speak with community council members, but
Yes.
how could we be doing things, if at all, differently as it relates to some of these priorities to help get them funded where they might not otherwise, or it's taking us, they've been top priority for us for the last 5-6 years, and they still, the city writes us back and says, this is an insufficient request, or too much money, we can't address this request right now, and all their little side notes that they make. But how can we take this list, the map, and Camelia's work, and just say, like, these are the top areas we have to be investing in. And how can we, who do we need to talk to? How do we galvanize the community to start, I saw the TNT spreadsheet from, I guess it's DOT, looking at the speed bump on Kingsbridge Terrace, which is closer to Kingsbridge Road. But 200 people came out and signed their names and said, we want this speed bump. It's a safety issue, and et cetera, et cetera. So how can we sort of use that same sort of like community galvanizing to prioritize some of these capital projects that we've been talking about, and that also fall into the environmental justice areas?
Well, I think it's the budget process often seems like a exercise in futility. When we get the answers from OMB in February, and like you said, and add to that list, go to your elected official, go to elected officials. Or we agree with you, there is no money at this time. The pie is only so big. So I think that advocating, continuing with the elected officials, what we've done is we've gone to 3 different officials on Bailey and asked if they could talk to think about combining their pots. We continue to do that, networking with them. I think that somebody organized that request for the speed bumps. There's always a person, or it could be 2 people, 3 people, who are the leaders, and then get the signatures, get the calls made, get the letters written. It's a group or a single person with a lot of energy. And that's where you have your civic groups, your FIPNA, and different groups, the Clergy Coalition. They have lists, they activate the public, seeking out those networking opportunities. People had to know that there was a movement to get a speed bump, or somebody had the idea, and it just, I think with social media and what people belong to nowadays may make it easier. But I think we have to make new roots in the community, and we have to tackle, sometimes it's the smaller things too. We consider number 30 on the list as important as number 2, and probably a lot less money. Sometimes you can, nibble at the edges of this list. Have like what, 75 things, 80, and I think this is going to be very helpful in making our case, and we'll have to continue to make our case.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think, I guess personally speaking, these top 5 areas or top 7 areas that have come up every single year that haven't been addressed, I guess that's to me kind of where I'm like, all right, so these are the top areas that we've talked about as a community board. We've had different members, we've had people come on, come off. And these still rise to the top as like the most requested items. So maybe it's not the full list that we tackle, but maybe we just look at ways that we can identify, take those top 5 to 7 requested items, and we use it as an opportunity to brainstorm. How are we gonna, find a way? Who are the champions we're gonna find? And how are we going to support them to get it done? Part of, unfortunately, now I'm just thinking about like Congress had these applications for capital projects, and there probably isn't a civic group that's an established 501c3, et cetera. But for Bailey, could we have made a capital request through Congressman Espaillat or Bowman or whomever, who were looking for community investments and things like that? So, or maybe it's the top 5 to 7 requests that we go back to the council members and say, like, listen, we know you can't do it all, we can't do it all, but who should we go talk to? How can we, prioritize this? I know I'm preaching to the choir, but just so that we could, in some capacity, use that as our real priority list to get them done so that we can take on even though the other pieces are still moving simultaneously, because like you said, they're less money. Maybe it's just a priority that, for a made up example, sanitation just wants to make the community board happy. So they're gonna address something with the rats or whatever it might be. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. Anyone else on this? Certainly, if anyone from the community wants to speak or ask any questions, please, we welcome it. Okay. Oops. Almost knocked my computer off this ledge. So the next steps that I have here are that I'm going to add an interim report intro. Camelia is going to double check the questions that Ramdot and Bob had. And then we are going to submit this for the board's review before the executive committee. Is that?
Well, the executive
Fair.
met last night. So the executive won't be meeting again till the fall, till September.
Okay. So is
Uh,
that what you were talking about when you wanted us
Yeah,
to?
but yeah, we could
Okay.
show it in September. When
Okay.
the budget is also on the discussion for September,
Okay.
capital, and they'll be changed somewhat from what we saw last night, what you have here. Because some things will get clarified more as Kira does research over the summer with the agencies and whatnot. But basically, this is it. And then we'll vote on it at the October board meeting. And so, yes, so you have time and, to develop what you'd like to develop.
So and I do want to keep to the timeline that we discussed in our last meeting, but for us to submit this to the board, just so that we can complete our timeline, etc. When should we submit it to the office? Or
Well, we're not
to
meeting.
you?
Yeah, the full board is meeting on the 29th of June.
Mhm.
Generally, things go out in advance, whatever resolutions we have, the treasurer's report. I think as early as you'd like to submit this, it would be marvelous. In other
Okay.
words, once you let Tanya, the office, know you would like it distributed to the board, to the public, give the instructions that you're comfortable with, and then it'll be done. I think being able to give people a few days would be great. And it's a finished piece. It's not something that's going to go back and forth and comments. You know what I mean? It's this is your report.
Okay. Camelia?
Yeah, Margaret, just a quick suggestion. Honestly, I would suggest because there's like 2 more weeks, right? Or even 3 actually until then. So
3,
whenever
yes.
you feel like, whenever you feel like you have enough time to like write an intro that you feel it's appropriate and describes where we are in the process and the committee and all this, I think the easiest thing would be to make it a PDF and put it already on the website and simply send everybody the link saying, here's the link where the updated work of the
Right.
Square committee is, and then during the actual space of the meeting, so that we don't take too much, because June is usually, if I remember Laura correctly, last time was like 4.5 hours, so
Oh,
that we don't bombard them. We just say we are very proud of our new work. We analyze capital budget, capital requests over the year. We have an excellent map. We cross-checked it with environmental justice areas. We feel like this is something all community board members should be aware of, and thank you very much, and we will have another one next year, sort of thing. And
right.
but what I'm saying is have it public. You see what I'm saying? Once you're done with the intro and all that, it's a
fine.
PDF and a link, and there we go.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And the office will even make a few hard copies, you know, to have somebody wants it in hard copy.
Yeah, maybe,
would you
sorry,
be-
I'm sorry, Laura, just one quick second. Maybe then Margaret and Laura, you can do a joint letter with what Bob said, a joint letter saying, dear elected official, and send it to all council members, senators, whomever they are. Here is our 2022 SCRE report. That would be like a nice touch.
I
Sorry.
think so. We could do that. Absolutely. And
Okay.
I have a question.
Mhm.
It had been discussed many, many months ago about having links because it was 80 something pages. I don't know how, a lot of it was research or from the, you know, the city laws and the city, you know what I mean? That section. Will you be repeating that section as well?
I mean, right now it's included. It's 64
It's included.
pages.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't
that
change
if-
any text, so that's still
Right,
there.
right,
So we
right.
are at 64 pages. Yeah.
Mhm, okay.
But mind you, Laura, the report is, so how to say, the written piece is maybe like 19 pages. Everything
Oh,
is,
yeah, no,
is
no,
appendices. So
Right,
yeah.
right, right. I was just thinking, well, I just said I was gonna make a lot of hard copies. How many pages?
Yeah,
is
yeah,
it?
okay, printed, yeah.
That was
64
my
pages.
connection.
It's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I think we've hyperlinked when at all possible. So
Yeah,
any
yeah, yeah.
resource, yeah. Ramda?
I was just gonna make one suggestion to Laura. I know you say you're gonna make some hard copies. Can it be in color if possible? That way, when we see the key, it won't be too confusing if it's black and white.
We could try.
Great.
I can't remember if we've included the community statement in this report, but this does stand out to me, and it is one of our agenda items, whether it's a part of the report or just part of, certainly we've used it in resolutions. It's on the community board website. So let me just ask before we move on. Any last questions on the interim report? Any last statements, comments? Anything else, or can I move on to the community statement? Okay. All right. So thank you to Bob Bender. He is the only person who reviewed the community statement and gave me some feedback on it. So Bob, did you want to introduce your suggested revised community statement, or not? You let me
Yeah,
know how
I mean,
you'd like to take it.
yeah, what I'll say, the statement, as you said, Margaret, is on the website. And it comes from, I believe, a resolution that we passed early in 2021. And what I tried to do here is take the essence of what we were doing in that resolution and the language there, and try to restate it as broadly as possible. I felt that we got a little bit bogged down in some of the details about, Caribbean, Hispanic, et cetera. And what I tried to do is down below under revised here. And I tried to address everything as generally as I could, without trying to make fine distinctions, such as Caribbean versus Hispanic or Latinx, which is a term that seems not to have caught on. The second part of the community statement I didn't touch because it's very good. And it says, essentially that, we stand for diversity and unity and so forth. And that seemed to me to be exactly right. So as you see on top is the statement that as it currently exists, and down below is the statement as I tried to rework it, hoping that, that I was broad enough and general enough to catch all of the different groups that, that we know we want to address and include.
Van Cortlandt Village? Diverse communities?
So that's the question, Laura. There were two ways to go. Either as broad as possible, Kingsbridge, Marble Hill, and Riverdale, or the way we have it on the website, where I think we've got 6 or 7 different geographic areas within Community Board 8. I'm open on that. I'm agnostic about it. We can do it either in the broadest possible sense, or we can be as specific as the website, the Community Board website has it.
The stationery, the website, everything, only because Community Board 8 proudly represents. I think we're safer with putting all our communities that we represent.
If we want to go that way, that's fine with me.
I mean, that's just my opinion.
Mhm.
I would like to strongly back up Laura on this, plus I'm in Spice and Dyeville and we declare ourselves an entity. So,
Right.
but yeah, no,
I-
just, yeah.
When I say to people, it rattles off,
Yeah,
Riverdale,
no.
Kingsbridge, Kingsbridge
Yeah.
Heights, Van Cortlandt Village, Marble Hill.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's you. It's
Yeah.
it's inclusive. I mean, it's just, so I think in this case, less isn't more. I think we
Yeah.
should.
I agree.
Okay, as I say, that's fine. If we want
Fields
to,
and too, yeah.
if we want to do it exactly the way it is on the board website, that's fine with me.
I was, the only suggestion I would make is something along the lines of, rather than regardless, like celebrating, maybe not diversity, but celebrating, all of, and then leading into the last part of the sentence, rather than, regardless. That would be my only thing, just to flip it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, Margaret. So, if we go that route, it would say something more like celebrating every race and ethnicity, gender, etc.
Yeah, I like that.
Instead of race or, it would be race and.
Yeah. Or maybe you can say celebrating all, and then you put plural, celebrating all races, ethnicities, gender, sexual orientation, age, religion. So it's just the first words that you would have to plural, basically.
May I make a suggestion as
yeah.
well? Can
Yes.
we, instead of gender, can we say gender expression?
Great.
Thank you.
We can also say inclusive of. I don't know, just an option to celebrating, but celebrating is great. Inclusive of all races, ethnicities, gender
Right.
expression, sexual orientation, age, religion, then it goes.
National origins and languages.
Yes.
Sorry. Say that one more time, Bob. I missed your last edit.
Well, what Camelia was saying is, let's make it plural. So it would be
Oh.
inclusive of all races and ethnicities. That's going to have to be plural.
Yeah.
Gender expressions, sexual orientations. No, that sexual orientations also.
No, yeah. Age I will leave as age because it's the name of the category, sort of say.
Right.
Religion is a category, disability is a category. National origin or languages or and languages.
And languages.
Okay.
Would it be appropriate in this part to put something to identify whether they're a citizen or not, that we also are representing citizens and non-citizens alike?
That's a good point, Julie.
National origin, citizenship. We can just add national origin, citizenship, and
Citizenship,
languages.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's the place to do it. National origin, citizenship.
Yeah, because we
Yeah.
have permanent residents, we have temporary immigrants, we have people
Right.
without legal status.
Right. No, that's correct.
The only thing is that and languages then sounds weird at the very last part, I feel like, but I don't know how to deal.
Yeah, that's a little, I don't know if it's necessary.
Yeah, 'cause then-
Cultures or that seems too broad.
Religion,
but-
national origin.
We can just leave it out.
Yeah, I was wondering if
I
we
would
need
leave it out.
languages, if we're already putting
Because it's
ethnicity.
implicit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
implicit.
National
I agree.
origin.
It's implicit in national origin.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, Ramdad, is that what you were saying too?
Yeah, definitely.
Just remove it, okay.
And then just put and or and maybe say, yeah.
All right, and then we'll just use the geographic breakdown that we have on the community board website, which is a little more detailed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can get that. Okay. Great. Any other edits?
No,
Beautiful.
but I think the question is, what do we do with it now? Because my recollection is that this actually comes from a resolution that we passed back last year in 2021. And so, if we want to make this modification, I think we actually have to take this to the board and we would have to pass it.
Bob, I don't
Mhm.
think it's exactly the same. I don't think that's necessary.
So you feel comfortable just going ahead and making the change?
I do. Let me, think about this. My gut is because Bronx Community Board 8 proudly represents the diverse communities. I think that's understood. I mean, we have a number of statements on our website. Remember, hate, remember, but this is unique because you guys have all worked it like a stew. And this is just, it's scree, but it's generic enough. I don't think it needs to be reviewed, truthfully.
Oh, well, I'm fine with that if you are.
I am.
Okay. So I'll just add in the,
Sorry, may I ask
yeah.
something to Laura?
Mhm.
Laura, I just checked like the homepage, right? And you're entirely correct in that I mean, this is what you open the website and our official website, and you scroll a little bit, and then it says Statement of Bronx Community Board 8, Racism and Hate have no place in our community, subtitle, and then it's that first paragraph that we just replaced with this proposal. And then it's a further paragraph saying, we affirm that we are proud of our diversity and stand together against all forms of hate, division, and violence that threaten lives, our sense of security, our union, and our system of democracy, which still reads great. So, but it does feel like, it's a statement of Bronx Community Board 8.
right.
So I hate to add, I don't know, I'm just opening again. Don't you truly, it seems to be a simple thing. I can't imagine this as a resolution taking more than, a minute. So don't you feel like the board should approve it because it's kind of our statement piece on the top of our
Well,
website? I'm just asking. I don't want to,
It's not the same language as the resolution. It's now different.
So that's what I'm saying.
It's your own.
The screen,
It's your own unique, and who the statements, the hate statements and other things, they went through the leadership, the officers. Not everything, in other words, when we put certain statements up on the website, it was approved by the leadership. It didn't go through the whole board. It's not.
Oh, so you're saying just the 4 officers are
Yeah,
sufficient? Oh,
yeah.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, and because we have to, in
okay.
terms of time and being able to be, the officers approved it. The only thing that has to go through the full board is if it's a resolution. And it's not a
Yeah.
resolution, it's a statement, and a beautiful one. So
Okay.
I don't think you need to worry about that. I don't think there'll be any criticism.
Of the
In fact,
revision of
I
the,
think that we should replace what we have with this.
Well,
because
that's exactly what we're suggesting. I
Yeah,
think,
yeah.
you know,
we're
yeah,
gonna repla- we
again,
can't.
and it's a 2-paragraph statement. It's only the first paragraph we're
Yes,
talking about.
correct.
The second paragraph is perfect the way it is.
Correct.
I mean, we have half of the officers right here, me and Bob Bender.
Not quite a
You're-
quorum, though.
He's not a
That's right.
majority, Laura.
Right.
Speaking of which, don't let me forget to approve the minutes from last month. All right, so
Oh,
I
yeah.
added
Oh,
in
Okay,
Fieldston, Kingsbridge Heights, Marble Hill, Riverdale, Spuyten Duyvil, and Van Cortlandt Village who reside or work here, inclusive of all races and ethnicities, gender expressions, sexual orientation, age, religion, disability, national origin, and citizenship. We good?
Beautiful.
Okay,
thank you.
lovely. Thank you, Bob. So that concludes what I had on the agenda. Since we have Julie here, I heard your beautiful voice. Can we just briefly review and approve the minutes? Any edits, any changes, etc.? Or are we comfortable in approving them? I'll just take a motion.
Motion. to
Margaret, I
approve
see
the minutes.
Ramdot has his hand up.
Sorry, I keep forgetting that this committee is very informal. Sorry about that.
Sorry about
motion-
that.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Thank you very much. Any objections, any abstentions? Wonderful, they pass unanimously. Wonderful, so that concludes old business. Any new business, anything for us to discuss now or things that we wish to plan or build for September? Okay, I will make a promise to get the revised intro to you all within a week. And that is all that is left. So thank you all very
Margaret,
much.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Mhm.
I just want to say thank you so much for carrying this committee. You've been wonderful and truly appreciate it. And the rest of you guys are tremendous. Bob and Ramdad and Camelia, you guys did a wonderful job with the committee, and I just want to thank you.
I second that.
Yeah, third.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Margaret.
Julie. Don't count yourself out, Julie. You've
No, I
right
feel a
in
little
us.
absent lately, but you guys are tremendous.
And then let's all extend the thanks to Laura for putting out resolutions to extend our work every year.
Right?
Yes.
It's very impressive, honest, very impressive what you've accomplished. We're a very good team. We're a team.
All right, 8:10. We're wrapping this up. Do I have a motion to conclude the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Have a wonderful summer. See you soon.
Yes.
See you all in
Bye.
June.
Everyone
Of
be
the
well.
board meeting at the end of
Yes, in
June.
person.
Yes.
Be well.
In person, yes. What a shock.
A shock, a trauma.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Very
All
well.
right, take
See you all
Thank
care.
then.
you.
Bye-bye.
Good night,
Bye.
everyone.
Good night, y'all.